Hi friends! In this video, I'm going to cover all the things that I wish I knew before visiting Japan for the first time. Basically, this list was born from every inconvenience, frustration, or even just like funny encounters that I had during 3 weeks, simply because I didn't know how things worked. If you've ever been to Japan, you already know that there's the Japanese way of doing things. And the Japanese way you will only really discover by being embarrassed or confused and figuring it out in the moment. Let's start off with transportation. Japanese transportation is known around the world for its span and its efficiency. I did my best to study and understand how to get around, but there were still a few things that can be confusing. First off, let's look at the Tokyo subway map. Tokyo is an absolute monster of a city, but it is incredibly well connected. Once you get the hang of using the subway, it becomes a lot less intimidating. Okay, so what made things a bit confusing for me was the fact that the lines in this map are not all operated by the same company. There are multiple different train and subway companies. Sometimes they speak to each other and sometimes they don't. So what I mean by that is that sometimes you have to change trains and it's super well connected. You just jump off one and go on to the other. But sometimes you have to exit the building altogether, walk 1 or 2 blocks, and then buy a different ticket in order to get on a different company line. So for example, the main subway line is Tokyo Metro. Tokyo Metro provides 9 train lines and covers 195 kilometers of tracks between 180 stations. This is definitely the one you will be using the most. Then there's also the Toei line and the JR lines. Every station has multiple ticket machines where you can buy one-way fare tickets, or you can use a rechargeable IC card to swipe in and out of ticket gates. I'm leaving a bunch of resources in the description below so you can better inform yourself. But basically, the main thing I wish I knew beforehand is that the regular Tokyo Metro ticket does not work for all the lines, so beware of what ticket you buy. Second thing that I wish I knew is that the stations are tremendously large and they are basically like underground labyrinths. So if you think you have some time to spare before your train arrives, I advise you that you still go to your platform as soon as possible because you are most likely going to get lost trying to find this platform. The train will arrive on the dot and you will miss your train. So always arrive not just on time, but with some time to spare. When they speak of train efficiency, it is no exaggeration. Trains are on time and they are fast, especially when speaking of the Shinkansen bullet train. There were some occasions, like when we were going from Kyoto to Osaka, where you buy yourself some supermarket snacks and a beer, and the travel time is so quick you don't even have time to finish your food. So if you're gonna take a nap on the train, beware, you will be there very quickly. Alright, so final transportation thing I wish I knew. Everything in Japan is extremely organized, including the way that you're expected to board the train. There are markings on the floor outside of the train indicating where you should queue. However, the queues are not like in other places. Here, you are expected to stand in a single person line. At one point, we were standing side by side, and we were asked to stand one behind the other like in elementary school. Okay, so for restaurant-related tips, it's very common that after you order your food, the waiter will bring the receipt to your table. If so, this means there's no need to call the waiter back in order to pay. You just take your ticket and you pay on your way out. We certainly sat there for a while before realizing this. Get used to the menu and service being totally computerized. There will usually be a screen with a menu, which will definitely not be in English, so have your Google Translate ready or just pick what you want by the photos. The machine will print the receipt and you hand the receipt to the waiter. This definitely reduces communication and I guess increases efficiency. Waiting in line to get a seat at a restaurant is the norm. This does not only happen in touristic places, this happens everywhere. Lunchtime is total madness, so if you're really set on going to a specific place, show up before they even open to get a spot in line. Or even better, always check days in advance if you have time, if you can make a reservation, but if not, you will definitely have to be waiting in line. There are some places where the concept of having a relaxing meal is not really welcome, particularly in ramen houses. Ramen restaurants are set up for you to come in, eat your hot bowl, and interact with nobody, and literally get the fuck out to give your spot to the next person. Honestly, these are usually the best places. So if you walk in and you see single person cubby holes, don't linger around after you finish your meal and just Finally, get used to not really using napkins. They are virtually non-existent. You will usually get a single napkin which is made out of see-through paper. And at places like ramen spots where the hot soup relaxes your breathing canals, they will have tissue stands by the door so you can blow your nose on your way out. But there will be no napkins in place while you're eating. Although transportation is efficient, don't be overly confident you will arrive at your destination on the dot. Particularly in reference to Tokyo, this city is an absolute labyrinth, and places are hard to find. Whether it's a store, an office, a restaurant, sometimes you are clearly following Google's instructions step by step, and you are supposed to find a specific izakaya in a 15-story building with 7 underground levels. Getting lost is part of the game, and you should definitely factor this into your schedule. The Japanese are efficient and organized, but they are not necessarily early birds. There were a few mornings when we were up quite early, around 7 a.m., and we went out looking for coffee. You can always go to 7-Eleven, but we found that most cafes didn't open until 10 or 11 a.m. Final tip for time management is don't be silly like me and avoid all markets on the weekends, or you may be at risk of being stomped to death. The markets are some of the best places to visit when traveling, but nobody wants to be squeezed in a sea of tourists. Spare yourself, just don't do it. This next one is quite random, but I thought it was really crazy. I'm constantly recording and taking pictures for my videos, sometimes in prohibited places. Well, the satellites have taken control of your phone the second you enter Japan, and the silent mode on your smartphone will no longer work. I tried to make my shutter silent, but every time I snapped the picture, my phone would make a sound. So, if you're naughty like me and you're sneaking photos, just beware. Finally, you may quickly notice after walking around on your first day that there are no trash cans. I found it baffling. I could literally not find a single public trash can, so I had to get to the bottom of it. It turns out that the walk and eat culture is not really a thing here. Food is meant to be eaten on location, at the restaurant, at the convenience store, or to be transported to your home to be consumed there. If you produce trash while you're out, it is expected for you to place it in your bag and take it home to be disposed there. It's so wild. Garbage is an issue that has perplexed me and fascinated me my entire life. And to see a place that has so successfully implemented these strategies and ideals is proof enough that Japan is ahead of the rest of the world in so many things. So that's it for this list. I hope you found some of these tips useful. I have a lot more Japan content on my channel, so check it out. And don't forget to subscribe for even more upcoming Japan videos.